Good morning, Berks County, or maybe more appropriately, I should say good morning, world. The world, because we are broadcasting live today from Kutztown University in the heart of Amish country. Welcome to the first episode of Season 2 of Buzz 101.
Right.
What is Buzz 101, you may be asking? Valid question.
Good question.
The Buzz 101, Peter and I will be talking about various topics in the realm of social media, and especially with our roles here at the Kutztown Small Business Development Center, we work primarily with small businesses, helping them start, grow, and prosper. We bring up some articles that are pertinent to small businesses. They apply to things that small businesses should be thinking about, but in general, a lot of these topics are just current and relevant and things that you should just be thinking about in general. My name is Mike Grimm. I am the Government Procurement Specialist here at the Small Business Development Center, helping small businesses market to local, state, and federal governments. And right next to me, this fine-looking gentleman is Peter Hornberger. Peter, please introduce yourself.
Glad to be back by your side for Season 2. It seems like only a month ago we were at Season 1, but we're already back. And again, my name is Peter Hornberger. Welcome to Buzz 101. If this is your first time watching, welcome. We think that we have something that you might enjoy. It should be a fast-paced discussion about social media, digital marketing, and hopefully enjoy it.
101, 100, we try to go about 101-ish seconds on each topic. So for each topic, we're really kind of scratching the surface, but we just kind of want to get you thinking about some of these things that are going on in the world. Cool.
All right. Well, we're going to get ourselves started. We're going to talk to you more. We have time for you to actually ask us questions, get involved. So if you're watching us on any of our outlets, please feel free to drop a comment or a question anytime. We'll try to deal with it. But I want to start off this new season with something I actually saw while we were on break here for a little bit over the summer about a hotel. There was an article that came out about a hotel that was actually had a clause in their contract when they were working with newlyweds that basically said they would fine the newlywed couple $500 if they or anyone from their wedding party posted a negative comment about them via social media. So this article went out, and I don't want to get into the cause of this article or anything other than really the impact of what happens in social media from some of these things. And what I had seen that I thought was really interesting was the Yelp page for this hotel. Up to the point in August when this article came out, had a total of 17 reviews, mostly mild, mediocre. The article came out on the 4th of August, and by the same day, before the day was even over, there were 580 additional posts to that Yelp page, all basically scam accounts, basically saying this is crazy, and basically someone just saying we don't like this policy. It was shocking to me about how much damage could be done to a reputation in such a short amount of time. I don't want to go wherever this article came out, but just what's the importance of businesses to monitor social media for that impact, because it could go south very quickly if you're not being aware of what's being said about you in that online space. So I just want to get your thoughts. What do you do as a business owner to hopefully not allow this to happen in your business?
Well, I mean, first the takeaway is don't charge people $500 if they're going to put a bad review.
I tend to agree.
Takeaway one. Also, I think one of the main things is poor reviews could be just as valuable as a positive review too.
It's good.
I think it's a way for a hotel to see what they're, in this case, a hotel, of what they could potentially improve. People, I think, are more likely to post a poor review. I don't know how you feel about this, than they are for a good review.
Yeah.
Because a good review, that you're happy. Poor review, I just feel like people are more likely to do that. So, it's important to keep track of these things and monitor these things, because again, we say every week it seems about social media is listening to what your customers are saying and responding based on what they're saying. So, this policy is absolutely outrageous, and we talk about crisis management, damage control. Yeah. They tried to say, this was a tongue-in-cheek joke, but obviously the general population didn't think it was very funny, and neither do I. I mean, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think it's something that, now as business, you have things that you might understand very clearly from your own perspective, but when we get into this world of social media and even marketing in general, it's really open to the court of public opinion now, where whether or not someone believes you or not is what's being interpreted, and like we saw, the damage can be immediate and dramatic. I don't know how you come back from this as a hotel that received, I don't even know what
they're at
what
1.5 stars, I think, but yeah,
it's going to be tough.
Yeah, it's a business killer right there.
Sure.
All right, so this article I found out has to do with location-based marketing. And essentially, one of the stats they said by 2019, about 5 years down the road, this business of location-based marketing will grow from about 13 billion to 42 billion. And you might ask, what is location-based marketing?
Good.
Essentially, now with smartphones, when you have apps, you may notice, can we use your location? We'll ask you, can you use your location? And honestly, that's up to the personal user. It's a little bit, Big Brother-ish.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, basically they'll know where you are. But essentially, the idea behind location-based marketing is businesses being able to see where people are and try to interact with them when they are in proximity of their business or something of those sorts. So essentially, some businesses have been using this. Heineken had something where you could tweet at a certain Twitter, and they would, based on your location, give you 5 recommendations of where you could go in that general area. So there was a call to action. Do you think there's a practical implication for this, or is it really, because you really have to hit an exact time, exact place? What do you think about this?
I mean, for small business, to me, it seems like you're going to be having to listen nonstop, and this is always the danger, I think, with marketing, and particularly social media, because it seems to have such limitless potential, is that you still have to serve the people that are already there. I mean, maybe if you have an empty cafe or a bar, sure, do whatever you can do to get somebody in there. But the point is, you're either going to be attending to the people that are already in your establishment, or if you're trying to tweet and communicate and listen to people talking about where they are, what's happening is you're attending away from those people, and I think it could be really damaging if you're not paying attention to still traditional business practice, which is do your role, sell what you need to sell, and try to use marketing to amplify the impacts and draw in a larger crowd.
Right. Yeah. I think there's just, again, so much timing involved about hitting that person at exactly the right spot. Maybe in a larger city, it's more practical, perhaps. I mean, I think why Heineken is somewhat successful is they have a call to action. So rather than pushing things out to the consumer's, saying something to them, here I am, where am I supposed to go from here in regards to your product? So from a small business standpoint, not having a branch probably to dedicate to social media 8 hours a day, it may have a very limited impact. Focus on who's there and.
Yeah, I agree. I still think that if you've got business, do your job working with them so that they come back.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Well said. Cool. So, folks, one of the things with Buzz01 that we really like to encourage, again, is the fact of having a conversation. I mean, that's what social media is. It's listening and responding. So, same thing goes here with Buzz101. So, we encourage you to, if you have any questions or comments on what we're saying, even if you find a relevant article that you'd like us to talk about in the future, we encourage you to either connect with us on Google+. You can comment on our YouTube section. This video and all of our videos are archived on YouTube. You can use the Ask a Question button, which is on the Kutztown SBDC website. You can follow us on Twitter and tweet at us, Kutztown at Kutztown SBDC. We have a Facebook page. So take a moment if you could and leave some feedback, ask a question. Again, we really encourage the conversation aspect of us. We stand up here and look good, but it helps when we have a little bit of interaction as well.
Yeah, we like that. And again, that feedback form that's available on our website or also in the description section of our YouTube page, that's really helpful. We just wanted to get some feedback, some comments about who's watching, and maybe a little bit about what we might be able to do to make the show even better and more relevant for you and your small business. So let's carry on with more topics. I wanted to talk about something I found recently about content and marketing and advertising, and there was a short survey that basically said that consumers, more frequently than not, about 61% of the time, consumers are preferring to interact with content over advertising. And let me kind of explain what content is. And if you're watching us right now, you're actually experiencing that, which is instead of advertising the SBDC and the staff, like ourselves, or even our services, what we're doing is the content is things like free webinars, live demos, ebooks.
Sure.
Something that you did while you were here, you wrote an ebook. Those kinds of things may be the new forms of advertising where consumers are actually interacting with the business in a way that they're getting something of value. One of our colleagues calls it relevant information for free. It's a great way to start interacting with clients and figuring out what it is that they want. So my question to you is, if this is the case, if customers and consumers are wanting to interact with you differently and they want value even out of quote-unquote advertising, how does this change how a business markets and advertise? What are your thoughts on doing this? And you created an ebook, so maybe you can even give some thoughts on what kind of commitment that takes, how long it takes, and is it of value?
I mean, I think it's completely changing the way small businesses are advertising themselves, and it is a time suck. It's a lot of time to maintain a blog, and with that article was actually a nice infograph that said, basically where are you getting the most return on investment on different venues. The top two were blog posts and testimonials, which doesn't surprise me one bit. Testimonials are important pretty much for any kind of business, right? But I think when you're thinking about advertising your small business through content, again, it's your chance to kind of show your expertise. When we talk about value, it could be either something like a how-to video. Show your passion about your project. Again, the ebook we did, it took a lot of planning. It took a lot of time. I had 2 interns helping me with it. But at the end of the day, it was something that was downloaded many times, got exposure for us, and once it's out there, then it's essentially global, and anyone could have access to it. So cost, not so much in money, advertising, but certainly cost in time. So that's something you have to consider.
Yeah, and I think one of the values of this is that, for instance, we're giving away this ebook, and it seems to have some tangible value because it's a number of pages, and people actually exchange their email address to download this. Now, we didn't do anything because we're not that kind of marketing agency. We're kind of an open access institution, so it's our kind of ethical and moral space in place to give that content away. But if we wanted to, we could have gone back to that download list and emailed people and continued the conversation with them easily. So there might be a little bit of something there if you give that content that it might be a space to open that conversation and continue to dig in a little bit deeper.
So this next article isn't exactly pertaining to small business directly, but I think some of the things that it brings up is something that's becoming more and more of a trend. Essentially, I found an article about how police stations are using social media to fight crime now. There was a case it was in Spain where a couple had basically taken their cancer-ridden child out of a hospital, and basically what happened is they tweeted this. Espanol police tweeted Policia, I think, at Policia, and within 2-3 minutes they got a tweet from someone who had seen the van and the license plate at this part, so they concentrated police efforts there, and then there was another. Basically, within 2-3 hours, they apprehended the suspects all through Twitter, and even after the Boston bombings and the Boston Marathon bombings, the amount of followers for the Boston police increased five times to help these efforts. So I guess this is just a general question, comment on how social media is being implicated in more than just sort of marketing or whatever. But what do you think the impact of using social media essentially to fight crime? I think it's at over 800 cases have been used so far, social media, to fight crime. What do you think this kind of reflects on society in general and how social media is taking over?
Well, I think what it really shows is the intense flexibility of social media. It's really a communications platform. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do certain things with it. So you don't have to market with it. You don't have to sell with it. And I think it's really interesting that some of the entities that are finding the most creative ways to use social media are places that you don't necessarily think of as innovative, like police, and we've even heard from the police department locally here in Kutztown how they've been finding that there's connections to some of the burglaries on campus to social media posts. So sometimes students are posting that they're going home for the weekend or going out drinking or doing something like that, and some of their quote-unquote friends are actually seeing that and saying, okay, well, maybe there's an opportunity for me to go and now rob and steal things from their apartment. It's really amazing when you start thinking about what this is. And to me, for business, the opportunity is look at what some of these police departments are doing and figure out ways to say, I don't necessarily need to follow the straight linear pathway. There may be a way that I can create some new space or use of this for my marketing efforts.
Exactly. You know, and I say this in the workshops, you don't have to reinvent the wheel as a small business. You know, see what other people are doing within your industry on a Twitter or Facebook account. I'm sure that's what police departments are doing as well.
Absolutely.
But yeah, and to the criminals, I mean, a lot of people are not too bright in TV, as my grandfather would say. They just post things with their new necklace or new car. I mean, it's you know, sometimes it's easier for the police.
Yeah, sure.
When you're posting what you stole, but not trying to like give advice to criminals that's coming out wrong. But you see stories on MSN and whatnot of people that have posted stuff they've stolen, and police are using that. It's evidence.
They are, and that's part of this point. And here's where we're also asking for some of your questions and comments. Again, just a reminder, in about 6 or 7 minutes, we actually have some time here to take some questions from you all, and even at the end of our general show, we'll stick around for another half hour after the show. If you have any other questions, we can continue that conversation on all of our social media channels. But if you have questions, reach out to us, Google+, the comment section on YouTube as well, and then also the Ask a Question button that's running on our website right now, kutztownsbdc.org/TV. There's also space there if you have some time just to do a quick login. All we actually ask for is email address, zip code, and then any comments that you have. And like we just told you in that last segment about the ebooks, we don't actually go back out and follow up and say, hey, we saw that you watched our show, and now let me try to pitch on some other things. We don't do it for those purposes, but if you have a chance, we'd love to hear who's watching, what you're taking from the show, and what we need to do to make it even more relevant for you all. So again, feel free, drop us a line, questions, comments, any of those channels, and we'll actually be addressing them in about 5 or 6 minutes. Cool. I'm going to finish up my planned segment here. I ran into an article, again, over break that I just found really interesting. It was about Indiegogo, which is one of these websites like Kickstarter that small businesses use to help get their business some initial funding or even some growth funding. And there was, in light of the recent Apple announcement of the new iWatch and iPhone 6, there was a campaign for a smartwatch that was integrated into, of course, all of your social media and everything, and it had an initial campaign trying to generate $100,000 of financing to help get this company launched. And it drew a lot of investors. Part of it was they wanted to get involved in this. Part of it was they actually were supposed to receive a fully functional watch once the company got the money and was able to develop the technology. Wound up generating $1.5 million of user investment. Here's where it kind of gets interesting. The watch never really got developed. I don't even know if it was ever intended to be developed. Some photos arose of the so-called entrepreneur with Ferrari and bags from very high-end retail establishments. But basically, people never got their watches. Someone got $1.5 million, and now there's some more questions about, are these businesses that are seeking funding and financing out there legitimate? And part of what I wanted to kind of question now is, if you're a business and you're really looking to get some cash to get started, these spaces seemed like a really good spot to go to. You can really interact with your customers. How do you build trust now where people might be looking at things and saying, it's on the internet, it's already social media, how do I even trust these people on the other end of this pitch, that if I send them $20, $50, $100, that I'm actually going to get what I intended to at the end?
Yeah, and I mean, it's a shame because I think in society in general, bad news always overrules good news. So like for every 99 campaigns that are successful and they deliver the product. There's this one guy that is driving this brand new Ferrari and there's no watches to be found. I mean, it's a shame that that's how our society is, but that can tarnish a reputation for I'm sure a lot of those people aren't going to fund products anymore. One thing is Indiegogo is a little bit different. There's no real screening process, right? Campaigns or websites such as Kickstarter, I know you have to actually submit somewhat of a proposal of what you're intending to do, so there's a little bit more of a credibility there. But for things like these, again, trust is a big thing, and once it's broken, it can have long-lasting effects. As far as specific advice, I mean, I'm a little bit at a loss because you can say I'm trustworthy. You can say here's my contact information if you have questions. Here's all my social media outlets. Here's what I've done in the past. Maybe stuff like that, past performance to show you're trustworthy. Customer testimonials.
Absolutely.
Stuff to add there, Peter.
Yeah, and that's exactly where I was going to go. Build on the traditional pieces. So if you need $100,000 but you don't have anything to start with where you can build off of testimonials or show a prototype or something like that, start smaller. Start with needing $10,000 or $1,000 or $100 and get somebody to buy in and show that they like it and give you a testimonial, and then ask for $1,000 and then build up to it. I think a lot of small businesses want to start at a level that maybe they're not yet fully established yet. So my point is do exactly what Mike talked about, build on the traditional foundations of marketing. But if you can't get there at $1 million level, scale it back a little bit.
Start smart. All right, final piece of conversation that I had on my end, and this actually arose from a social media workshop that I presented earlier in the week, where we got talking about Twitter, and we talked about hashtags. All right, we know what hashtags are. It's the number sign on the keyboard, and now it's basically universally known as a hashtag. But essentially, the conversation came down to the small business owners asking him, like, what's the point of a hashtag? What is a hashtag? And I kind of bumbled and basically skirted around the question. So I say, why not bring it on Buzz 101 and bumble and fumble in front of the global audience?
Absolutely.
So again, the question is, we see him everywhere. We see him on television. You're watching the show, and there'll be a hashtag at the bottom of something relevant to the show. You'll be watching football, and it'll be a hashtag, and then the two teams. Dallas versus Tennessee, hashtag at the bottom. Billboards, there's one I saw, it was hashtag 9/11, driving to work the other day. So I guess, what is the point of hashtags, if there is a point, and then throwing it to small businesses, is there a point of small businesses, caring about hashtags?
Yeah, and I'm no expert on it either, and that's why we do this as kind of conversation and discussion, but I see it more as a point of emphasis. So if you write your post in social media, and you want to maybe give it a theme or just give it a point of emphasis, this is where that hashtag comes. So you hashtag and then pull in a keyword or something like that. And I think that keyword is also the point of this, right? It is also something that you can use to sort and identify what your post is about. Because one of the things that I think is really powerful about social media is the power to listen. So other people might be out there looking to listen for things about webinars. So if someone were sitting at their desk this afternoon and said, I really want to see what webinars might be available right now, and you hashtag free webinar, they might stumble upon your content, whereas they might not have found it if you weren't doing that. So I think it's a way to sort and categorize what you're posting about, so that if in case anyone's out there listening, you might stumble upon them. And I would also encourage you, if you are a business, go out and listen, see what other people are hashtagging, and you might be able to find spaces and conversations that are relevant for you to join in.
Yeah, and I mean, when you think about it in the context of the television show, all that the hashtag is it's just a call to action by the television show saying, hey, talk about this. All right, they want people to talk about them. All right, and then of course when you're on Twitter, when you're posting with these hashtags, it's also being visible to all of your followers. So I guess the ultimate hope is that they're getting more attention to whatever programming there would be. But I agree with you. Listen, see what people are talking about. Hashtag fitness if you're a gym person. See what posts are coming up after that. So again, just aggregating content.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to take some time now to do some viewer questions, and again, we received those through the comment section on our YouTube channel, through our website with the Ask a Question button that we have somewhere up here, I think. If you're watching the live embedded stream on our website, kutztownsbdc.org/TV. And we'll receive those questions. We're going to answer a couple here. Like I said, at the end of the show, I'm going to stay available through all of our social media channels. So if you have questions, you can, again, use those same channels or even Twitter or Facebook to get us some questions, and I'll be available for the next 30 minutes to answer those questions basically live. But we're here. If you have questions throughout the week, ask away. If you find an article, ask it. We'll probably deal with it in one of the upcoming episodes of Buzz 101. So feel free to do that. And also, again, fill out that feedback form if you're watching. Give us some feedback so we know that who you are, where you're watching from, and what you might have liked or disliked about the show. But here's a quick question, Mike. And we get this pretty regular. I don't know if it popped up in your social media workshop yesterday, but I hear this from startup companies a lot. What comes first, social media or website? And I don't know if there's an answer, but maybe you have an opinion on this. What do you think?
It's a chicken or egg, age-old chicken or egg question. I mean, I guess my opinion is to have a website, because oftentimes one of the first things that one of the call to actions you'll have on a social media page will direct them to the website. I mean, along with this question, another thing brought up in the workshop went back to search engine optimization. And what was happening was the social media sites was #1 on the search engine optimization. The website was down at #5.
Wow.
And so, while you're using social media to drive people to your website, what's happening is the website's not the #1 result. Sure. And one of the questions was, how the heck do I get my website above the social media? And I didn't have a great answer because it's organic. It's how many clicks it gets. I mean, but my initial opinion is website's one of the first things you're thinking about in your business plan in general. Social media is more of an extension of your marketing plan. So I think website is more important.
I'm in agreement that you need a place to drive people to, and social media is it's an amplifier. It's not necessarily something that will drive traffic in and of itself. To me, it amplifies traditional marketing. So I think you still need that website as the base camp to then funnel all of your marketing materials back through that. And I think if you do that, your website will organically become more powerful than your social media, because you're funneling people that walk into your store. You're driving them to the website, because that's where all of your action and activity happens. It's a single source that you can update easily and efficiently. And you don't have to tell people, go to facebook.com/what. You just send them to your website, and it's easy, it's clean, it's consistent, and it becomes the foundation of your brand to me. So social media I think of as the amplifier. It can make your website better. It can make your marketing better, but it's not good enough by itself.
I agree.
All right.
Is there another question? Or
nope. I think we're good.
Good. Yeah. Well, we're actually getting
we're right at the end here. Yeah, we got just a couple minutes left. So we just wanted to kind of wrap up again. If you were on with us and enjoyed what you saw, or even if you didn't like it, just fill out the feedback form. If you saw something and thought it might be helpful, relevant to a friend, family member, forward a link to our website, because we're going to be here every Friday at 11 a.m. Covering these same topics as much as we can. And anytime that you have a question or comment, forward it over to us, because we'll do our best to answer it immediately, and we'll also see if maybe it's something that other people might be interested. We'll put it up here on the show in one of the coming weeks. And before we wrap, any final thoughts on just the concepts in general? I mean, you were just doing a live workshop just the other day. So any themes that you saw connecting?
I mean, just the idea of I think trust and building brands that people trust, and that's why things like testimonials are so important for a website. And taking bad feedback or negative feedback towards your product and turning it into something positive by taking care of it, and that I think builds trust when you do have someone, unlike that hotel, that will respond and listen.
Yeah, and that's really interesting. I think if I do see 100 responses to something and they're all glowingly positive, I get a little, I don't know, I get a little maybe inquisitive of, is that really possible that everyone loves this space and place? Because I just don't know that that's possible. So again, I think there's something about how you respond to both positive and negative inquiries that really I think can create that credibility and trust.
Sure. Well, thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll be back next Friday at 11 a.m. for another episode of Buzz 101.
Yeah.
Your customers are talking. Are you listening?
Thank you.